Alright folks, this is Harris Sultan, and Trump has just played another masterful stroke. And I think Hamas and Muslims have, as usual, missed the trick again. As I said in my last video on this topic, the left, the Muslim diaspora, and the mainstream media, they all think that Trump is bluffing with his Gaza peace plan. But this is a mistake. No threat is worth giving unless you're willing to carry it out, and Trump knows this. Yes, Trump may eventually end up using a less extreme option than repatriating all Gazans to Jordan or Egypt or even Indonesia, but that doesn't mean that if Egypt and Jordan don't budge from the original position, then Trump wouldn't take over Gaza by force, which is actually allowing Israel to take care of business. Now, it seems like Egypt and Jordan haven't been taking Trump's Gaza plan seriously and have been outrightly rejecting his proposal. So Trump wants to make them believe that he's serious. So, to make them think that Trump is serious, Trump wanted an excuse to bomb Gaza so that people themselves try to flee Gaza. And in the process, you eliminate a lot of Hamas terrorists as well. But how can you do that when you have a ceasefire? You don't want to break your own proposed ceasefire. I mean, Putin is watching too. Well, that's where Trump's genius plan comes in. Trump is saying that Hamas has mistreated Israeli hostages so much that they are close to death. And if they don't release all the hostages by Saturday, then all hell will break loose.
Well, I would say this, and I'm going to let that because that's Israel's decision. But as far as I'm concerned, if all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off and let hell break out. I'd say they ought to be returned by 12 o'clock on Saturday, and if they're not returned, all of them, not in drips and drabs, not 2 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 2. Saturday at 12 o'clock, and after that, I would say all hell is going to break out.
This is a godsend for Trump because Hamas, as stupid as they are, looks like they're taking the bait. They have also said that Israel has violated the ceasefire conditions, so therefore, all bets are off. They have taken off their military uniforms as usual and gone into the tunnels, preparing for this deadline to be over.
Hamas has delayed the release of Israeli hostages following what it claimed was violations of the ceasefire.
And they're going to play tough, to which Trump said, let's see how tough they are.
Mr. President, when you say all hell is going to break loose, are you speaking about retaliation from
You'll
Israel?
find out, and they'll find out too. Hamas will find out what I mean.
Mr. President,
They're going to find out what I mean. These are sick people, and they'll find out what I mean Saturday at 12 o'clock.
But no involvement.
This will give Israel an opportunity to attack Hamas's stronghold mercilessly. And as a result, a lot of civilians will be caught in the crossfire, which will make Gazans want to flee, which is what the US wants. This is another dumb and reckless move by Hamas. But we already know that they don't care about their own civilians' lives. They use them as human shields. In fact, they want more Gazan civilians to die, so their proxies in Western countries make noise and make Israel look like the bad guy. But things are going to be a little different this time round. Trump has already passed an executive order that will enable the US to deport all these pro-Hamas protesters in the US that we've been seeing under Biden. Yeah, you can't do anything about the wokies, but if you can deport 1,000 pro-Hamas international students, you'll take the wind out of their sails. Moreover, the US has given MOABs, the mother of all bombs, to Israel, which will enable Israel to go deep beneath the surface of Gaza and eliminate Hamas's fighters beneath the surface, something Israel was unable to do under Joe Biden. Now, I understand that this may also jeopardize the lives of Israeli hostages in Hamas's captivity, but I think Israel will take its chances. The US might also force other Western countries like Britain to do something about these pro-Hamas protests. So I think you'll see a very different phase 2 of this war. Trump is not backing down either. Just a couple of days ago, he said they will take Gazans when he speaks to them.
Told your private leader that you think why they're hesitant to take the Palestinian people.
Why are they hesitant to take them? Because they never spoke to me. They spoke to other people. They didn't speak to me. When they speak to me, they're going to take them.
Is it because they think that you would not allow them to return to Gaza? Is that part of it?
They don't want to return to Gaza.
Now, Egypt is also worried. They have already started amassing tanks and soldiers on the border with Gaza, worrying that people will start fleeing to Egypt once Israeli bombings start. This can actually happen because if Israel blows up the wall on the border of Gaza and Egypt, then it's natural that people will try to flee Israeli bombings and run to Egypt. Will Egypt open fire on Gazan civilians? Now that will be interesting. Let's see if Egypt does that and in return draws the world's condemnation. The Muslim diaspora will still try to defend Egypt because they also don't care about Gazan civilians. They care about this ongoing conflict with Israel because the end goal is to wipe Israel off the map. So it all boils down to this. Will the Arab world take 2 million Gazans? To discuss that further, Jordan's king, King Abdullah II, went to the White House to meet with President Trump. Although he didn't outright reject taking in Gazans, he did say that he's meeting with MBS to discuss all options. Trump, on the other hand, kept reiterating that Gazans will love to get out of Gaza if given an opportunity.
I think that Gaza maybe is a demolition site right now. If you look at Gaza, there's hardly a building standing, and the ones that are going to collapse. You can't live in Gaza right now, and I think we need another location. I think it should be a location that's going to make people happy. You look over the decades, it's all death in Gaza. This has been happening for years. It's all death. If we can get a beautiful area to resettle people permanently in nice homes and where they can be happy and not be shot, not be killed, not be knifed to death like what's happening in Gaza.
Now, this is not evil as Muslims are claiming. This is a truly sensible way of thinking. Millions of Muslims leave their countries for the West every single day. So why can't Gazans do the same? They can't do that for two reasons. Number one, they're held hostage by Hamas and the Muslim diaspora because they want to wipe Israel off the map of the earth. Number two, they don't know anything different. They've been brainwashed from childhood to keep sacrificing their lives for the sake of this tiny piece of land because this is a holy site and Judgment Day would not come until Muslims fight the Jews. That's it. That is why Trump thinks that if given an opportunity, why would you not go somewhere else where you can get out of this cycle of misery and violence and warfare and live better lives? Millions of Muslims already do that every year when they move to Western countries. So why can't Gazans do that? Of course they will. Or so Trump rightly thinks. Why is the world not trying to end this conflict by thinking outside the box rather than encouraging Gazans to keep dying over a tiny, insignificant piece of land? Gaza is not even religiously important to Muslims. It's Jerusalem that's important, not the whole of Israel, Gaza, and the West Bank. The West Bank has religious significance to Christians and Jews, not Muslims. So you see how wicked this position of Muslims is? They're prolonging this conflict, not because of some humane reasons, but because of their religious fantasy in which they can't see the Jewish people having a tiny homeland. So, the Jordanian king didn't outright reject Trump's plans, but Jordanians have been threatening to disengage with the US and run into the arms of China and Russia. But I don't think Trump will be too worried about that because in that case, Trump can give his blessing for Israel to take over Gaza by force, and China and Russia could do absolutely nothing about it. And in the process, Jordan and Egypt will lose billions of dollars in aid. Now, I have to be fair. It's not that easy for Jordan to take 1 million or even 500,000 Gazans because about 50% of Jordan's population is already made up of Palestinians who obviously have a soft spot for Gaza. And if Jordan takes, say, another 500,000 Palestinians, then the majority of Jordan's population would be Palestinian. And that could jeopardize the whole statehood of Jordan. Let me remind you, the Palestinians did try to overthrow the then Jordanian king, King Hussein, in 1970-71. Also known as Black September. So Jordan is aware of that. This is why the Jordanian king might be open to taking a small percentage of Gazans if the rest of the Middle Eastern countries take the bulk of it, and Trump knows that. This is why King Abdullah II said that he's meeting with MBS and will discuss all options. In my opinion, I think Trump is going for the maximalist option, and he'll try his best to clean out Gaza, not purely out of love for Israel, but because he genuinely believes that why would anyone want to live in that demolition site? Why not go somewhere else? This is a reasonable way of thinking. I would not sacrifice my single child for any political ideology or any piece of land. Then why do we expect differently from Gazans? It's because of the reasons I mentioned above. They don't know any other way. And if they are persuaded rightly by the rest of the world, then I think they will take that option and try to pull their children out of this endless misery and warfare. So, what do you think? Will Trump be successful in persuading the Arabs and other Muslim countries like Indonesia, for example, as he hinted in his press conference, to take in 2 million Gazans? And once Gaza has been transformed into a state like the UAE, will Gazans be allowed to come back in and hope they don't mess it up again? Let me know in the comments below. Your support is absolutely paramount in running this channel, so consider becoming a member or patron. Special thanks to my existing members and patrons. Until next time, ta-da.